the government stands behind. He surely knew what was going to happen. The huge run he created on the most solid part of my economy in East Texas and in much of the nation who were not involved in the MBSs and some of these other things. But he caused a huge run on my banks where people who had more than $100,000 came in, took it down to the $100,000 level, and then transferred it to Mr. Paulson's former or current friends on Wall Street in the money markets. He surely had to know that when he came out screaming fire and said, but we're going to have a safe haven in money markets, but only good to 100,000 in the banks, he would cause a run on banks. I hope future administrations understand that is not something we can do. And I realize my time's running short, but I would like to ask, now that some damage has substantially been done, I believe, by some of the pronouncements. And and by the way, I've got 2 bills I've filed today. I don't know if they'll get to the floor, but I would like to cut off the spending, the last $350 billion of authority that Secretary Paulson has, and my bill's not a resolution, just you can't spend it anymore. One of them I hope would get bipartisan support because I'm open to using it for infrastructure because the Constitution says we post roads in Congress, build it for road, whatever. And another says we'll use the private market concepts of encouraging things, encouraging investment, and then also a bill dropped today that takes President-elect Obama at his word. If it says if you make less than $250,000 and you go buy a car in the next 6 months, you get a $1,500 tax credit. But if I could just ask, is there anything immediately that would be done with the money that the Treasury has in the slush fund that would go toward SBA loans immediately?
Thank you for the comments. But
well,
yes,
I'm not sure, it's what you want to hear, but it sure is on my heart, and it's not just emotional, it's in my head and heart.
I appreciate it. And as I said, in Tyler, I know there are a lot of issues going on, and you have your frustrations, and you share them with us as well. With the SBA market, the Small Business Administration loans, as you know, the way this works is a lender makes a loan to a small business. The lender's loan is then guaranteed roughly up to 80% by the federal government. As Governor Krosner mentioned, demand for such loans has actually decreased as the economy has gone lower. At the same time, the cost has gone up because the securitization markets have frozen up. So one of the items that was mentioned that could be potentially very helpful is using part of the funds in the Troubled Asset Relief Plan that could be used as a securitization vehicle. What does this mean?
And what about, sir, if I may?
Yes, please.
Including pools of small business loans.
Yes, that's where I was getting to.
Okay, so we have been proposing that for the longest now.
Yes, and now we have the authority to actually...
No, you always have the authority. You have the authority, sir.
The Small Business Agency is a different, administration is different from Treasury.
The Secretary of the Treasury has the authority to include small business loan within the definition of troubled assets.
Correct. And we are working with the Fed, creating a program that will promote the securitization of these products. Not just these products. Auto loans, credit card loans, student loans. Let me take a step back. Student loan markets. Student loans are 97% guaranteed by the federal government, and no one is buying them right now.
Sir, time is expired, but let me ask you, when are we going to see that?
We are working on it, and as I stated, we are working on it expeditiously, so when we roll it out, it will be well-functioning, and it actually impacts the most individuals out there.
Madam Chair.
In September, we have been discussing this issue with you, and you still continue to further discuss it and examine it?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I might mention to you, and in case there's anybody here who has not read the authority that Secretary Paulson has, that authority, it's what scared me about the bill, is so broad. I don't think Congress has ever, since 1787, the new Constitution, given that much authority. If he wanted to put money in the SBA, he could put it there, he can put it in foreign banks, he can buy whatever he wants to. If he wants this program to go, right now he has an incredible amount of authority to do that. And if anybody is not aware of that, including the Secretary, he needs to read the dadgum bill because he has that kind of authority. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Time is expired. Ms. Clark.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman and Ranking Member Shabbat, for holding this very timely and very important hearing. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming and bringing as much information to us as you can. I have to tell you that I was elected in the 110th session, and since I've been here, I've heard of the creation of so many programs to help small businesses that have yet to be implemented. So, you know, it's very hard for us to sit still and hear about the dynamic taking place within the Treasury of creating a program and not having a timetable, not coming with clarity about how it's going to be implemented and when it's going to be implemented, particularly in a time of crisis, with all due respect. As we all know, and we're too keenly aware, small businesses remain the linchpin of the U.S. economy. Because they are the foundation of our country's job markets and an essential element of job creation, providing close to 80% of employment opportunities for Americans. According to the Commerce Department's Minority Business Development Agency, about 3% of all minority-owned businesses generate more than $1 million in revenues annually. Unfortunately, the financial crisis has created a catalyst for much broader and complex economic problems. At the same time, the Federal Reserve has reported that domestic banks said that they tightened their lending standards for small business loans over the previous 3 months in July and said they were charging more for these loans. I'm from New York City. This uncertainty is created by home price declines and financial market stress has been detrimental for New York's economy, and jobs leveled off in New York City, and little has changed since that time. Our emergency economic recovery plan has not stabilized the financial markets the way the Treasury Secretary Paulson and President Bush had hoped. Despite the $700 billion recovery plan for financial institutions, which was supposed to encourage commercial banks to start lending again, getting a loan these days is still extremely difficult, even for those with immaculate credit ratings. In order to improve these economic trends, we must continue to implement sound policies that are expedient and timely. That goes to the whole question of creating policy and implementing it. And I've just kind of frustrated by the fact that I've just heard about so many programs and none of them have been implemented. And if perhaps we had looked at expediting them earlier on, perhaps there would be some fluidity within our markets at this time. But I'm particularly concerned about women and minority-owned business. What has been the impact of the current financial and credit market dislocation over small businesses, particularly women and minority-owned businesses, the most vulnerable of the entrepreneurial ecosystem?